Hello Aquarius, welcome to Pure Tarot. So tonight I'm doing what I'm calling the 5 W's reading. If you're not aware, 5 W's stands for the who, the what, the where, the why, and the when of a situation. I have 5 different decks. I'm going to pull one card out of each deck. Some are not complete. I've segregated particular cards, court cards here for the who. Out of Santa Muerte deck, I have the full deck of the Moonology deck for the what. Some cards out of the Enchanted Map Oracle deck for the where. Major Arcanas out of the Ghost Spirits Tarot deck for the why. And the Ace through the 10 for the when. So pulling a number to get a time frame. So let's just jump into it. Just wanted to give you an idea of how this was broken down. And one card flipped here, I'm going to keep that. The Queen of Swords, beautiful. What a slip of the tongue, Queen of Cups. Aquarius. That's interesting. Queen of Swords is you. Actually, it's Libra, but you know, it would be like a air queen, right? Swords representing air, so that's why I thought about that. I don't know, interesting. But we do indeed have the Queen of Cups. So let's look at what this pertains to. Shuffle it real good. Wow, the energy is gaining momentum. Interesting. Let's look at where this might be taking place, either physically or symbolically. Some of these cards are more the more metaphorical. Let us see. This is incredible. This card has come up. This is the 5th sign in the whole series that has had this moonlight card for the where. Literally, it's so striking that I remember. It's actually Aries, Leo, I believe, Scorpio, Capricorn, and yourself have had the moonlight. I don't know if you have any placements, if it's any of those signs is your moon or rising and you want to look at that. But I mean, just the fact that it's been recurring, it's interesting. So let's look at why this might be happening using major arcanas. Maybe it's because we're in eclipse, the lunar eclipse is coming up. So maybe that's the reason the moonlight card is popping up. Temperance here for the why. And let's get a number. Oops. 6 of Clubs, which would be the 6 of Wands, but I'm not reading the card per se, right? I'm just using the number 6 as 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months. Okay, let's start describing this Queen of Cups, which could be you or anyone you're dealing with. I love how, she's like some of the decks that depict the Queen of Cups, obviously she's offering her heart, but I really want you to pay attention that she has both hands outstretched. And once I've learned, I'm going to make an analogy and I'm going to tell you why you'll understand. One day, someone was describing how to shake hands, right? Or like we were discussing about, handshakes. So you know how sometimes you shake someone's hand and it's all sticky and wet, and some people give you like half a handshake, or they don't grip you really tightly, or some people actually grip you like way too tight. They squeeze your hand, and like all these different handshakes sort of speak about the person. And one time, a blind person explained to me that one of the most heartfelt handshakes for them, and that they would notice more being blind, was when someone gives you a handshake and also puts their second hand, and basically they clasp the other person's hand. And so they explained to me that for them, it meant that they completely gave themselves, of themselves, and they were sharing themselves fully by doing that. Which was, obviously for me to describe this to you, it struck me quite deep. I thought it was really interesting. And I'm mentioning this because in this case, the person is presenting the heart here with the two hands outstretched. It's obviously not a handshake, but the analogy of really giving it all by presenting with both hands is really striking to me. So that being said, the Queen of Cups, if you know a little bit about her characteristics and who she is, she's extremely intuitive. She's caring. She's sensitive, sometimes hypersensitive, or oversensitive, you could say sometimes. She's definitely she might sometimes be a bit passive. And I mean that, the most respectful way. So not necessarily being, lazy, but on the contrary, so she's so receptive that she will wait for things to come to her, a bit like the Empress, And so it's a form of passivity. That's how I'm describing it, or that's what I'm getting at here. The blue on this card is obviously, linking to the element of water. So if you have any Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, obviously this might just depict you particularly. But let's look at the other cards and see how this type of personality ties in with the rest of the story. So the what of the situation is the energy is gaining momentum. So this particular situation is already, it's like the ball is started rolling, and it's like a snowball, right? When you when you create a snowman and you roll the ball to make the snowman with sticky snow, the more you roll, the bigger it gets. It's actually quite fun to do, even for adults. And if you don't live in a country where there's snow, well, maybe one day you'll eventually get to do that. It's quite fun, like I said. And so definitely it's momentum. So it means more than one thing. It could mean it gains in speed, but it could also mean in size, right? As I was making this correlation with the snowball. So that's really interesting in terms of the gravitas of this situation, right? So again, let's move a little forward and let's see how it all integrates. So where this might be happening, here's the big snowball. The moonlight. So typically for me, that's nighttime, but not necessarily. It's definitely something very dreamy. It's something that you've been wishing for, I'm tempted to say here, because the moon might usually pertains to something you might need, but it's definitely emotional here with the Queen of Cups. So sometimes it's a need, it could be a desire, but it's need slash desire, okay? And sometimes, we interpret needs as just basic essential needs like eating, sleeping, etc. But it's a lot more profound than that. Your needs could be emotional, and which is what I'm describing here with the combination of Moon and the Queen of Cups. And an emotional need is just as important as, nourishing your body and getting enough sleep or rest, or even exercise for that matter. So it's quite interesting that where this is happening is on the level of your needs. So it's a lot more symbolic. It's not necessarily a place. But then again, this could be anywhere where you meet your needs. So it could be within the home, obviously. It could be, if whatever need has popped up as I'm talking about this for you, if there's anything that you feel you need, you're lacking maybe in, with the pandemic, we're not getting out so much. You might want to start getting out of the house more. You might have lesser restrictions, and you might be able to go to a sports center like a gym, a yoga, studio, whatever it is for you. But definitely a place where you would tend to your needs. So that's really interesting. And maybe that's the gaining momentum. So there's movement correlating or resonating here between the two cards in resonance. And the why, the reason you're tending to your needs is wanting to get a more balanced life here with the Temperance. You're definitely, it's like a balancing act of, making sure that you don't flow from one extreme or, seesaw from one extreme to the other in terms of never getting out of the house to going out too much and exposing yourself, for instance. Not exercising and suddenly taking on crazy workouts and, weightlifting, or even dieting could be way too extreme, right? You go from eating junk food and snacking all the time to suddenly a keto diet, and I don't know. Basically, I'm giving you examples, but anything where the change would be too drastic. So the real why, the real reason behind this momentum and this energy that is building up in this sudden movement, and I want to say evolution of this situation, comes from maybe loving yourself more, tending to your needs in relation to that, wanting to balance yourself out, wanting to gain a lot more, equilibrium, but at every level, right? If you're well rested, if you're exercising, if you're eating well, you'll just feel better. You'll think more clearly. You'll be a lot more focused, more productive. You'll just be also more receptive, more intuitive. It'll open up your intuition even more. You'll be more attentive to the signs that life, the synchronicities of life. So there's a huge correlation here between all these cards in terms of self-care, self-love, self-serve. It's a self-serving energy. And this might happen within the time frame of maybe 6 days is too short, but maybe the decision to start this regimen starts in 6 days, but definitely 6 weeks and 6 months here would be the time frame for this snowball to keep growing, and for this momentum to gain speed, and maybe just more either more importance in your life, or just how can I say, bringing in results for you, and simply even maybe just becoming the perfect life habits, well, I say perfect, let's remove the word perfect, but I mean becoming a very healthy routine, and something that becomes a part of your everyday, of your day to day, in a way that is absolutely effortless, and natural, which is maybe that's what I call perfect, right? It doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like you have to. I mean, your motivation is just there all the time, instead of, oh, I have to go here, I have to do this. It doesn't become cumbersome or feel. I think you understand what I mean. Anyways, so this is quite interesting, and it's quite specific in the sense that it's I don't think it's even like an image of something else. Like it's not pertaining to anything else, but specifically something related to your hygiene. And I don't mean that in a like washing your body, although that could be it, part of it, in the sense of pampering yourself, going to the hairdresser, going to get your nails done, whatever it is for you, a massage, all of those things that create more balance in your life. And I keep mentioning things. I realize that as I'm giving you examples, I'm always talking about the body. And that's really, really interesting, because I want you to note that Venus in Capricorn, Venus has entered Capricorn. She'll be retrograding for 5 months. And Venus is not always comfortable in Capricorn, in the sense that she becomes a very loyal and steady energy. She becomes extremely... people with Venus in Capricorn as a natal placement are very, very loyal. But they're hard to open up, right? They're slow to open up. But once they give their heart, like this queen here, they give you their heart for life. And it's kind of the same thing here about the body, in the sense that once you start really investing yourself into this momentum, into this new regimen, this new routine, these new habits, these new, like I call them, self-serving, in link with your, loving yourself, and that really becomes powerful. And you have 5 months, and it's funny, this is 6, but all of the duration of the retrograde, Venus will be in Capricorn, emphasizing this part of this sort of very, like I want to say, it's steady. Venus in Capricorn really sticks to her, to what she says. Her word is her bond, in that sense. So that's really, really interesting. Anyways, enough said. I think you get the message. I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Good night.